previously learned that red blood cells are the most common type of blood cell. Red blood cells are also referred to as erythrocytes, which comes from the Greek word erythros, meaning red, and cyte, meaning cell. The plasma membrane that surrounds each of your red blood cells contains special proteins that are placed there based on your unique genetic makeup. In this lesson, you will learn about these genetically determined proteins and the role they play in deciding your blood type. Now, your immune system recognizes foreign particles that are not normally in your body as antigens. If an antigen is present, it stimulates your immune system to release antibodies to provide immunity against the specific antigen. And as mentioned earlier, there are genetically determined proteins found on the plasma membrane of your red blood cells. These special proteins are antigens, and what we refer to as red blood cell antigens. Your body tolerates your own red blood cell antigens, but if your blood were to be transfused into another person with different red blood cell antigens, that person would have some big problems. That other person's antibodies would recognize the transfused red blood cells as foreign and bind to them. If this occurs, it leads to a process called agglutination, where the red blood cells clump together and interfere with blood circulation due to the fact that this clump of cells can clog up small blood vessels in the body. Now, this term is easy to recall if you know that the root of the word comes from the Latin language and literally means to glue. While it's strange to think about your blood being able to stick together like glue, this is exactly what happens when a blood transfusion goes wrong. Now, there are many different red blood cell antigens, and these allow your blood to be categorized into different blood groups. Let's take a look at one of the most important blood groups, the ABO blood group system. Now, the ABO blood group system is a classification system for blood that depends on the presence or absence of an A or B antigen on the red blood cells. ABO blood groups are determined by the type of antigen you inherited from mom or dad, specifically type A or type B. Now, if you inherited both types of antigens, then you ended up with type AB blood. In the event that both antigens are absent, you would end up with type O blood. Therefore, we see that there are four major blood groups or blood types: A, B, AB, and O. Your red blood cell antigens are formed before your antibodies form. And the interesting thing is that the antibodies that get produced by your body are based on the antigen not present on your red blood cells. Therefore, if you have type A antigens stuck on the outside of your red blood cells, you will develop only anti-B antibodies. This is a very good thing if you think about it, because if you had type A antigens on your red blood cells and your body formed anti-A antibodies, they would destroy your own blood. Let's look at this further and consider type B blood. Being type B blood means you inherited type B antigens, and the red blood cells in your body would have B antigens attached to them. Your immune system would be used to seeing B antigens and would tolerate them just fine. However, your immune system would not be familiar with A antigens because they are not present on your red blood cells. Your body would form antibodies against A antigens called anti-A antibodies, and this mixing could lead to clumping or agglutination of the blood. Now, when you have type B blood, it's almost like the B red blood cells own the neighborhood, and they do not want type A blood cells moving in. In fact, they create anti-A antibodies to stand guard and keep the A's away. So if you were born with type O blood, we know that both antigens are absent from your red blood cells. Therefore, your blood would form both anti-A and anti-B antibodies. This would be an issue if you ever needed a blood transfusion because you could only accept blood from someone else who has type O blood. Any other blood type, A, B, or AB, would have antigens that react with your antibodies. Here we see that having type O blood is even more exclusive than having type A or type B. When type O blood owns a neighborhood, neither type A or type B blood cells can move in. In fact, type O blood cells create anti-A and anti-B antibodies to stand guard and keep the other blood cells away. Contrast that to someone who has an AB blood type. That person's immune system is used to seeing both A and B antigens. They would not have antibodies against any type of blood. So this person could receive not only AB type blood, but also A or B type blood. Therefore, we can think of the AB blood group being friendly to the other blood types. When they own the neighborhood, they're happy to have type A and type B come visit. People with an AB blood type, as well as those who have A or B blood type, can receive blood from a type O person, because that person produces red blood cells with no antigens that can react with their immune system. And you already learned that someone with type O blood can receive blood from another type O person. So that means a person who is type O can donate blood to anyone, and therefore they're called universal donors. Similarly, since people who are type AB can receive blood from any type, they are called universal recipients.